So it's the second amount of industrial action with Alman Post and the union, of course. With me is the chairman, Julie Edge. This is a situation I obviously expect you're going to say you wouldn't want to be in, but you've had talks, nothing's happened. I mean, where are we up to?
Yeah, we're extremely disappointed that the Communications Workers Union have chosen to take strike action again today. It is Valentine's Day. It's not as busy as the last time that they took strike action, but it is a significant day for the post office, and we're extremely disappointed. We feel we've moved significantly since the start of these negotiation processes, and the union don't seem to be taken on board of the financial situation that the post office is in.
Can you remind us exactly what you have moved on?
Okay, so obviously we've been working with the unions for about 18 months on pensions. That's when the negotiations started, and obviously they're still in the remit now, but obviously the business needs to move on, so we're looking at buying out allowances from the postal workers. Some of these are they go back 40 years, but we're not compensating them. We are compensating the employees. The union did, since the last negotiations, the union put forward some suggestions on the allowances. Post office moved on that and accepted their proposal. But then when Mr. Pullinger's come back to the island this time, he's chosen that if we can move on them, he wants us to move on other things. So we've got moving goalposts all the time, Paul. But this, as a business, we would need to be financially responsible, and we feel we've put a very fair proposal to our valued workforce.
Do you feel the union has moved to meet you at all, or are they, in your views, intransigent on this?
I just don't believe that they are recognising the financial situation that the business is in. We are protecting the pay for 5 years for our workforce. When we buy it, Mr. Pullinger's been on local radio stating that his workforce are going to be losing £35 a week. Mr. Pullinger is choosing to now join into that conversation that he's commenting on. The driving allowance for Saturday, the £15 a week for the Saturday allowance that the postal workers get. We haven't even started negotiations on this. The £20 driving allowance is for driving post office vehicles, and we've offered to buy that out at 3 times what the postal workers will receive. So, and that's quite a significant amount. It's about £2,500 per postal worker. So we have actually moved on that. We thought we had agreements on that last time, but again, he's now brought in the driving allowance. So for the Saturday allowance. Sorry, Paul. That wasn't part of these negotiations, but we're happy to negotiate on that. We've got agreement from Tynwald that we can go down to a 5-day delivery, and we will start negotiations on that. But what we need to do is finalise what's in front of us now.
Okay, that 5-day delivery, so that was, I thought, one of your key items that you were going to use to save money. Are you saying that has been in negotiation, or are you holding fast on reducing the Isle of Man delivery to 5 days?
Yeah, no, that is now we have direction from Tynwald. We have the will of the Tynwald court to do the 5-day delivery. We have to now put that into practice, and obviously we will take our workforce with us in doing that.
This is obviously damaging from everyone's point of view, because it is Valentine's Day, which is one of the bigger days outside of Christmas, I suppose you could call it, really. I mean, how much is it affecting the business? I mean, those letters will get delivered, right? Do the posties then get an overtime payment for making up on this time, or how's it viewed? I mean, is it hurting everybody?
Well, obviously today is not as the volume of mail and what comes through the business today is not as high as it was at Christmas. It's significantly less. Obviously, we will guarantee delivery of the priority mail. We have a lot of flowers to deliver today. We will guarantee delivery of that, and we will ensure that we can operate as a business as much as possible to ensure that our valued customers are not impacted by today. Obviously, flowers will be delivered. It's an important day. I do have concerns, actually, Paul, that Mr. Pullinger, he's actually left the island. He left the island last night, and he's not here with the workers today. He has left a representative here, but I'm not so sure he has got our employees at heart today.
How much is there a will from the union side then outside now? Is there a strong workforce? Do you feel this is something that's just going to keep going on, or where will the impasse be broken?
Well, obviously, as I've said, we've moved significantly, and we feel we've put a very fair offer on the table. We have offered additional. Mr. Pullinger said that it's not about pay now. We've offered additional payments to the employees. What we are going to do today, Paul, is ensure that all of our employees get an up-to-date statement of what the last proposal the Isle of Man Post Office has provided to the Communication Workers Union, and that will be the whole of the workforce. And hopefully they will see how much the Post Office, we as a board have tried to accommodate some of the counter proposal that came to us. We feel we've moved on. We've moved again. Manx Industrial Relations was involved again yesterday. But they just seem to think that there is more money available to throw at this. The Post Office is in a financially difficult position, and whilst the times were good, the Post Office provided pay awards accordingly, and we've moved on the pay award to the workforce, and we feel it's a fair offer.
Well, the obvious question now is, you've got to move again, right? You will have to make more concessions, otherwise there's no discussions.
Well, Paul, we're always open to negotiation. Our CEO, Simon Neen, he and the executive have had another full day of talks, but there's just been no movement from the Communication Workers Union. The last meeting that Mr. Pullinger called on the island, there was probably only 50% of the workforce represented there, and some of our workforce are only finding out about strikes through the local media. This is the type of communication that we're up against, but we as a business have to be financially responsible. It's in the Post Office Act that we have to be. We have a responsibility as a board to do that.
And you've got the full support of Komen, have you still?
Yes, Paul. Obviously, we keep them fully informed about the strike actions and what we are negotiating. But there comes a point where one of the issues that Mr. Pullinger is raised is that the other public sector workers have had a higher pay increase than what the Post Office is offering. Mr. Pullinger is very aware of the challenges we've got from Royal Mail, who is our biggest partner, and they are now wanting to renegotiate a contract that we've only recently signed with them because they are facing challenges themselves. So he's fully aware of that. He knows the challenges coming down the line further for the Post Office, and he's not moving on anything. The rest of the public sector may have had a higher pay award, but they've also had pension changes. They've also had new terms for new starters. Mr. Pullinger will not accept any of these.
How do you take it forward? Do you speak directly to Mr. Pullinger via a video link or around a table somehow? I mean, who do you now deal with? Mr. Pullinger, who's now gone to London or left the Isle of Man, or do you deal with a local rep, or will you go to London?
Mr. Pullinger's left a representative on the island from the UK, so our CEO will obviously continue talks with him. We are still open to negotiations, but there's not much more we can negotiate on, Paul.
So you've got something more? You're saying there you've got something more, though? Yes? You've got a bit more in the pot that you can put in there, or as an offer?
Well, we need to see some financially sensible proposals coming forward from the union. At the moment, all we're seeing is additional financial cost to the Post Office coming forward, and we cannot sustain that. As a board, we've got to be financially responsible, and what we want to do is ensure that we've got a post office for the future, for the workforce and for the Isle of Man.
And remind me, how does this proceed? Can more strike action just be called as and when, or do they have to reballot?
No, the original ballot that was carried out is just a continuous one. So Mr. Pullinger can call strike at any time, and that's what he's done this time. He called it, and some of the workforce didn't even know it had been called. So he can continue to, they can continue to do that. I don't want to get personal. It's not Mr. Pullinger. He's representing his workforce, but we as a board have got to be financially responsible for our workforce and for the post office as a business.
Do you feel there's any end in sight? Because it sounds like the way you're talking that you don't feel there's any give whatsoever on the other side, and you're making compromises, or is that what you're saying here?
Well, hopefully once we get communication out to our workforce and they can actually see what the package is in front of them and the impact on them as individuals, which is what we did the last time. It's when as individuals they can make choices once they've got the full information in front of them.